6 years ago, my wife took nothing but an ideal and faith and turned it into a multi-million-dollar business with multiple streams of income. As a woman possessed, she overcame all obstacles and created multiple streams of wealth that has impacted our family for generations to come. From mental health professional to therapist to author to CEO, she is a constant reminder of the grace of God over her life. Get ready to listen to and take notes from Stenell, the money therapist, as she schools you on money, entrepreneurship, and life skills that was not taught. No more excuses. Wake up!
Thank you for that great introduction, husband. You're doing good. Welcome back to No More Excuses, Wake Up, where we talk about money, entrepreneurship, and life skills that was not taught. I am your host, Stenell Myers, also known as Stenell, the money therapist. This week, we are discussing money and the topic that everybody has been asking about, how I purchased my vacation home in Florida. When I first posted this back in December, Tony and I purchased our vacation home December 3rd it was, and I made a post and it was actually showing the vacation home in Florida. I received so many DMs and people that knew me contacted me saying congratulations and thank you everyone that was happy for us. We received so many calls. People were happy, but people wanted to know, how did you do it? And I remember someone reaching out, shout out to Bianca, saying to me, you need to teach this, talk about this. How did you do this? How did this happen? Here it is, y'all. I always wanted a vacation home in Florida back in 2015. To make a long story short, Tony and I came here after my 40th birthday party on April 25th. It was my birthday. I had a party on the 24th. We flew here on the 25th. And we flew here with the intentions of looking for a vacation home and Airbnb. And look how long, that was 6 years ago. It's 2021, right? But if you keep doing something and you're persistent, God will make that way. And if it's in your heart and you really want it done, it can happen. Back then, the businesses was just starting. They were not even businesses yet. They were on paper. And the businesses did start in 2015, actually in July and September of 2015. I always wanted a vacation home. But let's backtrack to 2020 for the sake of this episode. God woke me up on my birthday. It's time. Literally, that's what I heard. It is time. So I reached out to my realtor because, mind you, I had a realtor for 2 years. I had a realtor back in 2015. We had a realtor. I paid her $50 just to show us some stuff so I can know what was going on at the time. I waited a couple years, kept getting the no's. You're not making enough money. You're self-employed. You just started. Then it was, you have student loans. It was all kinds of stuff. It was always a no. But specifically in 2020 on my birthday, I felt that God said it's time. I just felt it. I knew it. I reached out to my realtor. My realtor, she gave me her mortgager. I sent over documentations. He said, oh, wow, you do really good for yourself. And you and Tony really have something good going on. But you don't have enough money to purchase a second home because the second home is 20% and you have to put down the down payment of 20%. But that wasn't the issue. The issue was your income. And I said, but we made this. He said, but on paper, you did not. He says, Stenell, you have 2 Schedule C's. I said, what is that? Now, keep in mind, y'all, my mentality, I don't care how much money I'm making, I'm going to do my own taxes. So when I met my accountant, she was a new accountant for me. She says, Stenell, I'm going to do your business and your personal. I said, oh, no, I get $11,000. I do my own taxes. She was like, okay. So I'm screwed everything up. I had 2 Schedule C's, y'all. So the income that we made on paper, we made no income compared to what it percentage was crazy. We were not able on paper to purchase a vacation home. Fast forward, we have a friend that he does mortgages. It's so good to just have friends. So my girlfriend, her husband does mortgages. He reached out to us. We were just having a conversation. A month later, he was like, you know what? I was just thinking about the conversation we had a month prior. He said, you ever hear of bank statement loans? And I said, yeah, I heard of bank statement loans. He said, I don't do these mortgages, but because you have your own business, try to get a bank statement loan. He said, it doesn't hurt. I'm going to send you over some information, read it. And if it fits into your category, I'm going to send you over somebody. And let me tell you, that's what homeboy Troy aka best friend. That's what he did. And let me tell you, it was hard work. It was hard work. But by the grace of God. A bank statement mortgage is a home loan that uses a borrower's bank to calculate their income, and this is considered an alternative documentation loan type. Since the tax returns are not used to calculate income, these loans are for self-employed, such as myself, or private contractors who have substantial tax write-off. I'm in that self-employed category. I do pay myself, and so I do have W-2s. I have a payroll company. I legitimately pay myself. With a bank statement mortgage, you have high interest rates. Someone gave me a broker. Shout out to Jennifer. Jennifer's best broker ever in Orlando, Florida. Jennifer started working with me, and we had to find a loan company that did bank statement loans. So we found a loan company, and that loan company was called Greenbot. And the interest rate on bank statement loans are very, very high. My credit score, and I want you to understand this, my credit score had to be a 700 or higher. Mind you, my score was like a 6 something because I teach you how to not have any debt. We had no car notes, no credit cards. Let me tell you the game. That's another podcast. The game of credit, you have to strategically plan when you want to get a house because the game of credit is crazy. I had to play the game. I had to get a credit card. Did not want a credit card. Had a whole fit because I'm like, oh, I teach this. Hell no, not doing this. Had to get a credit card. Got this credit card. It's crazy. Did everything that had to get done. It came with a high interest rate. My interest rate, y'all, I'm going to tell you at the time of this podcast, I am refinancing is a 6.3. Yes, high as heck. I had to put down 20% of the home. Not only did I have to put down 20% because again, this is our second home. So anytime you have a second home and this is not your 100%, the home that you're in, you can't put down 10%. We're not veterans. I had to put down 20%. That's what we did, Tony and I. 20%. And we had a high interest rate. I called my accountant. She went over the numbers. She said, Stenell, listen, you good. You can afford it. Do it. I could have waited, just knowing it was right there in the midst of the pandemic. I knew the market was going to change. I couldn't explain it. I knew things were going to be better. I had no evidence of that. Faith without works is dead. So I walked in faith. That's all I did. Let me explain this. With a bank statement mortgage loan, your income has to be sturdy. I had to prove that my income was sturdy. And because of COVID, I still had to be able to prove that I can afford the payments because at that time, keep in mind, a lot of people were losing their jobs by the grace of God. By the grace of God, that did not happen in my situation. I had to be able to prove due to COVID, it wasn't going to change anything. And because it was a vacation home, how can I be in a vacation home and not be at my company every day as a 9 to 5? I remember having to fill out a form to ask you specific questions on what are your job duties? How do you perform your job? How are you still going to be able to perform your job? And because I have employees, I was able to fill out the form and say I can do my part of my job that I'm responsible for remotely. And I still have employees that run the daily activities. With this loan, you have to be my biggest lesson, y'all. My biggest lesson. You have to source your money. This house, the house that we found, we thought that was the stuff, because that house, the first house that we found was not the house that y'all see. The first house that we found, I'm going to just tell y'all that we were 3 doors down from a celebrity. I'm not going to tell you who this celebrity is, but I will say from an R&B group, Major. And so that was like, oh my gosh, we able to afford this. It was a community that was gated. It had a 24-hour guard. We were literally, now the celebrity was on the beach water. That wasn't our money at the time. Our money, we was at the lake. 3 doors down, it was at the lake. That wasn't the house, y'all. The bank statement loan, that's any loan, not just a bank statement loan. When you're purchasing a home, your money has to be sourced. And listen, get this, y'all. Get this. I could not use any of my business income, even though I was using bank statements. I want y'all to get this. I could not use my actual business income, meaning that, let's say I had $100,000 in my business bank account. I could not use that money in my business bank account because that's for the business. I had to use money that was in my account. That was something huge that I learned. You have to also have enough cash liquid. So we had to have enough cash liquid reserve on top. Get this again, y'all. On top of the 20%, we had to have enough cash liquid on top of the 20% to cover 3 to 6 months of mortgage, depending on the underwriter. So let me break this down. The cash liquid, meaning that you have to have money that is in another account that is not associated with the 20% down, because they want to make sure that you can afford your home. So if your mortgage is going to, let's say the example, turn out to be $2,500, you have to have that $2,500 in your account times 3 or times 4, 5, or 6, depending on the underwriter or what, because some underwriters would say 3 months, some would say 4. It depends. We had to have that on top of the 20%. And it was a lot. It was difficult. It was stressful, but it was very humbling to be in a position, a little black girl from Camden, New Jersey, to be in a position, even though it took more time. Oh my gosh, thank you, Lord. That reserve, you have to make sure that you have that reserve on top of the 20%. I just wanted to take time to reflect and say thank you, God, for that. You also have to have verification of liquid assets, your IRAs. I am huge when I say invest, 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 invest. We had to show and prove that we each had an IRA. At the time, I was pouring in $150 a month, and Tony was pouring in $150 a month for his IRA. So you have to prove your IRA accounts, your proof of your liquid assets. They want to see everything, your blood, your sweat, your tears. They want to make sure that when you are borrowing this money, that you can pay this money back. When you do 20%, there's no PMI. So there's no private mortgage insurance. When you put down anything that is under 20%, like 10%, you have to pay PMI, private mortgage insurance, because that is, the bank is now insuring their money. Like if you default or anything, their money is secured. Because we put down 20%, we didn't have the PMI. But we had to have that verification of liquid assets into any of our investments. I also had to provide 24 months of bank statements from both of my companies. So that was 2 years of bank statements. On top of that, I had to provide 2 years of my profit and loss that I receive every month. So all of that came from the accountant, the profit and loss statements, how much money was coming in, how much money was going out, how much was going on supplies and payroll. I had to provide that as well. Anything that had to do with the business, I had to provide it. The first house fell through. That's a long story. We were in Florida for 10 days. It fell through the day before closing. It actually fell through the day that we were supposed to close. Such a long story, not even worth talking about. But God has something so much bigger, so much better. It was just a blessing right in the palm of my hands. The home that we are in fell into the palm of my hands, and it was a complete blessing. So let's just recap. How I purchased my home using business bank statements. It wasn't traditional, it was business bank statements. I had a high interest rate. That interest rate was a 6.3. As of this recording, I am refinancing my house. It is a 6.3. I'm refinancing my house as we speak. I'm refinancing it. We're getting a 3.75. We understand that the market is better, that you can get a 3.0 or a 3.0 or something less. However, with this specific rate, we are not tapping any equity. And that's another thing I want to talk about. If we didn't purchase this house when we did purchase this house, we wouldn't be able to have the equity that we have. When God spoke to me, I did not know. He didn't tell me all this. Speaking to me, he just said it was time. And if we would have waited, we bought a house in December. If we would have waited 5 months later, it would have been so high that we probably wouldn't have been able to afford this home because of the market and how much it is changing quickly. We don't believe in pulling equity out of our homes. Because we have a 3.375, what we're able to do is we're able to get money back. And that's another thing with the bank statement loans. The closing cost was astronomical. It was so much. So in my recapping, you want to make sure that you have a sturdy income. You have to be able to prove that you have a sturdy income. You can be able to, with a vacation home, how are you going to be able to still work? How? You have to prove that. Are you working remotely, or are you getting it off of just one person's business and another person is not on the actual loan? You have to figure out, and you have to prove how you can be able to have a sturdy income. You have to have 2 years of self-employed pay stubs. So that was W-2s that I showed because I do put myself on payroll. We had to put down 20% of the amount of the loan. We had to source the money 60 days. We could not show or use any of the business money. We had to be able to source that money. And that's why that part is so important, because it doesn't matter how much money that you have in your business. Even though it's business bank statement loans, I need to make that clear, we couldn't use that money. You have to have enough cash, liquid, and reserves on top of the 20% to cover 3 to 6 months of mortgage payments, depending on what the underwriter say, or if what underwriter you have. It might be 4 months, it might be 5 months, but you have to cover between 3 to 6 months. You have to also have verification of liquid assets in your IRA. So that's an IRA account, a Roth, some type of 401k. You have to be able to show anything that you have. If you do have an IRA, that definitely helps because you have money, you have investments. And I had to be able to provide 24 months of bank statements as well. And you know what one of the biggest parts were? So because Tony was on the business, having a percentage in the business, he had to be on a loan. So because he was on a loan and he was retiring, we had to hurry up and get this done before the pension came through, because you know that the money from your retirement is not the same as when you're working, doing overtime. It's just different. Oh my gosh, when I tell you God hands was in this, it's crazy. God hands was completely in this. There you go. What you all been waiting for. This is how we purchased our vacation home. I could not go the traditional route using W-2s, because I did not qualify the traditional way. I had to go a new way, and that new way taught me so much, and I'm glad now. I guess I am, because I'm able to share it with people, and hopefully it can be someone else's story that you can definitely purchase a home using business bank statements. It was a lesson for me. If there's any of you self-employed and people are telling you, or you're hearing out there that you cannot do it, I was able to do it. I used Greenbox, was my mortgager before they sold the mortgage to another mortgage company, and they're based out of California. But it can definitely happen. You can do it. Go out there, find another way. Don't take no for an answer. Ask questions. There are always different alternatives. Go out there, budget, pay debt, save, invest, and live. No more excuses. Y'all know what y'all need to do. Wake up. Hey, smart people. I have a 3-month one-on-one personal or business coaching program. As you all know, I paid off $50,000 in debt in 1 year. I will teach you how I stayed out of debt using my burner method and personalized spreadsheet I created to fit my lifestyle and keep me on track. You will learn how to understand your money communication style using my financial treatment plan. Also, if you own a small business and you feel stuck with cash flow or feel disorganized, I teach business owners and self-employed entrepreneurs such as yourself to financially maximize your money, build wealth using your business income, and retire working on the business while your business continues to run, such as myself. You can book a call with me. The link is in the show notes. Thank you for listening to No More Excuses, Wake Up. If you love the show, please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes or Spotify. To learn more about me and my different agencies and what I do, go to StenellMyersEnterprises.com. While you're there, check out Money Therapy Institute and watch my video where you will see me doing a little acting, showing you how I fought and kicked down closed doors. You can also click on Stenell the Money Therapist, and get my free budget spreadsheet. And of course, you can email me at contact@StenellTheMoneyTherapist.com. I'm also on social media on Facebook at Stenell the Money Therapist and Instagram at Stenell the Money Therapist. No more excuses. Y'all know what y'all need to do. Wake up.